Hello, it's John, Bench Fisherman. Today on the bench, I've got a Penn 535 GS. I like these for drum. Nice. Look, when you're out there, people don't think about this because people know I love Ambassador, right? But Ambassadors, the bait clickers on the big Ambassadors, well, let's just do a comparison. You hear that, right? That's the bait clicker. Hold on a second. Here's a 7,000. You hear the difference? You might say, well, that's not big, but if you're out there surf fishing on the point, that surf is crashing, man. You're down there at Cape Hatteras, you're fishing the point, and it's just going nuts down there. The drum loves the rough water. You're not going to hear that bait clicker on that Ambassador. I love Ambassadors, but this thing here, you will hear that even when it's loud as hell. I like these reels for that reason. And they're high speed. This one is a, let's say on here somewhere. Excuse me. Well, I want to say it's a 6.1 to 1. It usually says, wait a minute. Oh, that one's missing it too. I got 2 of them here. I've got 3 of these reels to do. I'm only going to do a video on the worst one. I think this is the worst one. I haven't got the other one yet. Well, anyway, enough of that. Let's take a reel apart. Phillips head. These reels are made in USA. Very good quality reels. I will be putting new drags because I do believe these reels have been used. I've got new bearings for them. Ooh, yeah, we starting off good. There's some corrosion in this bad boy. Might be gonna have fun with this one. With the corrosion. Oh boy. It came loose. But I have a feeling everything on this reel is gonna be corroded like that. There's your handle. You got a wavy washer underneath there. Back the star drag off. No shims under that. Go ahead and take the spool tensioner knob off. See what it looks like under there. Needs a little work. It's got shims up under there. Let's see if they'll come out. Nope. Sometimes you gotta get something really sharp. There we go. It's got a rubber, and this is typical on all the GSs that I've tore down. You'll have a brass shim or copper shim and a rubber shim up under that to help with the spool tension. So let's go ahead and take these 4 screws off. Well, there's 6 total. No corrosion. That's the crossbar, so that's looking okay. Somebody put the wrong screw. No, that's right. Okay, so you're going to have a long screw and short screws. Short screws go here and here, and long screws go here and here because of the crossbars. These bars are actual crossbars, and they go from one side to the other. I love the way Penn did that. It makes a smooth place for the line to rub across, and it really strengthens the frame on these reels. These reels didn't get a real good review when they first came out. People looked at them and thought, oh, Penn's selling out. They're going plastic and stuff. I'm gonna tell you something. I think it's one of the best reels Penn's ever made. Their series of reels, the GSs, are freaking phenomenal, and I'm not the only Penn lover that feels that way. There's a few of us that do. Been a lot of really nice fish caught on. I didn't order the big bearing. I hope it's okay. That's the thing about Boca. They give you spool bearings, but they don't sell the handle bearings in the kits. So I have a little work to do there. Find one. Pop that loose. Somebody's been in it, and it's not horrible, folks. It's not horrible at all. Here's the bearing. Let's just see. Oh no, that'll be good. Ain't nothing wrong with that bearing. I will put new spool bearings in it just because. It's going to get new drag just because. And I'm looking at it here, and this one's got the old style drag. I believe, because I've got the new style drag here. This is an old reel. The original 535s, 545s, 525, even I think the 555 came with a regular looking drag. Oh, I'll show you what I'm talking about when I get there. Got a plastic spacer that comes out. That's as far. I'm not going to take this. Well, yeah, she's pretty ugly. Let's go ahead and take it apart. I don't normally like to deal with these double springs, but this can be a bear to get off of here. These levers break easy too, by the way. Not from taking it apart. They get caught on things when you're out there fishing, and they break off right here. And you can't get it. It's an obsolete part. That makes fishing with these things a little tough. Not gonna lie. That's why you keep a bunch of them on hand, I guess. All right, so there's the front cover. Let's main gear off. Let's look at these drags. Let's see if I'm right. Screwdrivers out. Yes, I do have a set of these drag washers somewhere. I don't have a clue where they are right now, though. So that's interesting. But you know what? It doesn't need drag washers. It's already been upgraded. So I'm going to go with what came in it. There's your main gear. Pretty dirty, but other than that, not bad. Got another fiber washer down there. That is part of the drag system, folks. Now remember how the pawl goes in there and how this star goes in, it goes like that. The pawl goes in like that, and this pawl can go ahead and come out. There is a little tiny spring under there. Don't want to lose. Take the pawl out. Spring slides out. We'll clean that up really good. Got two more springs on your yoke and the pinion out. That needs to be snapped down on there further. That could be cause a little bit of an issue. Do that while it's on my mind. There we go. Jack plate, pop it straight off. I'm telling you, these are simple reels. You can damn near fix them on the water. We'll take. There's another bearing underneath the shaft. We'll check it out. This thing was squeaky, but I don't know why it was squeaky. Let's see. Okay, that's a retainer, and then you've got this comes off with the bearing. It's not bad. I will try to get that off there so I can service that bearing a little bit better. Go ahead and take clamps off. It's nice to get a reel with clamps. It seems like every time I buy a used reel anymore, it's missing the clamps, and that's another $25 to order those. And I do take the clamps all the way off. because I like to get that lubricant and everything all up in everything, so we don't have any problems. So get that loose, get that loose. I'm moving pretty fast. I'm hungry. Time to go eat. I apologize. Penn, USA. When I first saw these reels, I thought this reel seat might be a problem when they first came out back in the day, but I don't think I've ever witnessed one broken, to be honest. Take this side apart. I'm sure somebody's broke one. I mean, if it can be broke, I mean, I've seen people break anvils before, you know, but I've never personally seen one broken. All right, so we're going to hold on to that post and back that screw out, and I'll show you how that post comes out of there. Post just slides right out, and you can clean it really good, and the screw will come out. This top short screw out. Love the simplicity of these reels. Penn just, I think they just shot it out of the park with this one. The 525 is a damn fine reel. I'm partial to the mags because my casting ability isn't the greatest in the world. Don't laugh if you know me. I can backlash anything, but I like the 525 mags. If I'm throwing something like that, I'm needing something to really go the distance. See, somebody got grease up in this ring, and those centrifugal weights will never work right. Yeah, you know. There is shim that goes up in the end of that. There's a bearing that I've got. That bearing. Just pull the spool. The centrifugal weights, he's locked them back, so he wasn't using them anyway. And I say he, whoever the last, could have been she, last angler. But you can unlock these weights. Lock these weights. Which I normally unlock one or two. Depends how much weight I'm throwing. If I'm throwing 8 and bait, I got them both out. See, they'll sling out. Okay, so that spool can be cleaned up. Over here, push the bearing out. Sometimes they can be stuck like a booger. Pretty good. I don't think I got that bearing. Well, they sent me the wrong bearings there. So where I'm about done ordering bearings from Boca. I know y'all heard me say that before. I'm just about done. They don't never seem to get the kits right. So I get 2 bearings, and they're both spool bearing, and they're too small. That's not that bearing there. They sent me the wrong bearings. So I have no bearings to put in this reel. I'm also have to clean these up and hope they're okay. And that's it for me in Boca. I will never order another bearing from Boca. See, I spent a ton of money on them things, and they're not right. That is the 535 Boca bearing kit. It says 535 on their website. Not right. And I've been burned so many times from them on different reels that I would have thought on these pins they would have got it right. There's so many of these freaking reels out there. Let's try to get this bad boy apart. Hopefully I can get it. I'm happy. Possibly. This is a Loctite screw. But usually if you tighten it just a hair, because they don't put them in real tight from the factory. So if you tighten it just a hair, see the Loctite coming out, it will come loose. And I will re-Loctite it. Now I gotta get the bearing off of there. Stubborn. That leverage off of there or not. Don't give you much to work with. Bearing's stuck on there. And you can't really get under it. I want to beat the shaft up. I want to clean this shaft really well, but I can't do that with the bearing on it. Anyway, we're done with this housing. Screw back in there. Let's put a little bit of on that bearing like that. We'll take the Teflon side of my hammer, and we got it. You see how I did that? Just use the screw as a means of probably could have knocked it off for a little bit further. Definitely want to service. And I may go on Mystic's site tomorrow and just order the Penn bearings for it. They're not going to be OBX 7s like those, but they'll be fine. I don't think there's no shim there, so we're good. Can't say that bearing's bad. While they're sitting there, in case I can't get any new ones, I really couldn't upgrade anything to this reel, unfortunately. I'm done with Boca. Boca, you lost my business. I was probably spending several $100s a year at Boca Bearings. Give up. Well, there it is. I'll clean it up for you, and it's going to be a day or two, and I'll come back and put a nice old Penn 35 GS back together. Hello, this is John. I'm back. We'll put this 535 GS back together. I ordered some bearings. I ordered the fast eddy set, which is what I'm going to use in this reel. And because I've got 2 more of these to put together, I've got the full set from Mystic for the other 2 reels. So there we go. So the only bearings that won't get changed out on this one will be the largest handle bearing, and then the other bearing underneath the the main crankshaft. So the spool bearings will get replaced, which I think will be sufficient. The other bearings seem to be okay. So let's just rip into it, see what we got. I do plan on keeping these bearings, these old bearings. I'll put them in my parts box. You never know. We'll do that bearing there, and of course this bearing here. Okay, those are brand new, and the drag in this reel was still good. It hadn't been abused too badly by whoever. So I'm gonna put this reel back together. And it's going to be a really nice reel. I did print out the schematic and I don't have it with me. So I'm going to have to remember where this and this, I'm pretty sure this goes at the top and this goes at the bottom. Okay. Well, we'll figure it out as we go. Let's put the centric in first. It goes in right here. Hope I get it in there right. Sometimes it just takes me a minute or two to figure this out. Give that a little spin. So you got to lock those two springs in. Locked right in there. Oops, no, it didn't. Pop right out of there. Okay. That's always not a good thing. Well, okay. I'm going to have to go back up under there. And this is the part I don't like to take off on these reels, but this one was pretty gunky. And for that reason only, I did take it off. And I'll get it back in there. It just takes a minute or two. You'll try your patience first couple of times you play with one. It's got to snap down in there like that. And then this just kind of clicks in its place there. Then your lever goes on. Put a little bit of grease in that screw hole there. When I get done building a reel, I usually have to take something and wipe all the extra grease off. It's just, as you can see, it just oozes out. I'd rather it be greasy and have that grease seal up any kind of corrosion or any saltwater intrusion that might be happening than it be dry and let salt water in there and then not be able to get a screw out or something next time you take it apart to service it. So. And yeah, that's right. Okay. All right, that goes on after we build this. The first thing that happens here is this shaft. There's a bearing, goes on there. Oh, I know what I did. Yeah, I actually put the wrong bearing back in the package. Hang on just a second. All right. These bearings are very similar in outside diameter, but very different on the inside. Apologize for that. So you got a bearing that goes on the end of the handle shaft here. And see, it's good. It doesn't have anything crazy going on with it. The screw that holds that on is brass, and I'm going to put just a dab of blue Loctite on it. Just a dab. Now, when you get down to where it's ready to tighten, you can hold that shaft with an adjustable wrench. Just give it a, don't kill it because you won't be able to take this back apart again someday. And it will sit back in here like this. Right? Nothing wrong with that bearing. Then you have a retainer goes back down over top of it, and it has two screws, which are like a sheet metal looking screw. They have a very big fluted thread on them. They're not like a machine screw. Don't need to lubricate these holes. It's metal going into plastic. There's no brass inserts or anything in there. So good there. Okay. All right, that sounds pretty dang good. All right, next thing is the jack plate, and give it plenty of grease where it slides in here. Somebody had used looked like spray, like lithium grease maybe on it. So that we're gonna put the pinion in. And put the pinion in before we can put the main gear on. So the pinion will ride on this, and you need to grease this yoke. That's what they call this, is the yoke. Let's give it a name. Goes on like that. Okay. Hold on to that and give that pinion this some pretty big gears there. Big teeth. Let's give that a pretty good coating in there. Okay. This reel is going to get soaked in salt water. I can guarantee you when I get down that point that if the water ain't real cold, I'll be out there as far as I can cast. I don't normally wear a waders. If it's cold enough to wear waders, I don't go out that far. So call me whatever. I don't care. Okay, so that goes down in there like that. Okay. I won't put the springs on just yet. So your anti-reverse pawl sits in here like this. We can go ahead. I put a little dab of grease, all part on here, where that spring sits in there so it doesn't fly out on me. And look off on me. Oh, there it is. And that is a very small little spring. It's just so tiny. You can lose it very easily repairing this reel. So keep that in mind, okay? That will go in there like that. And your anti-reverse star will go in and see how it contacts itself like that. Okay. Next is your bearing. Well, next is this. This is a part of your drag system. This is the friction washer that goes between the main gear and anti-reverse hog. Let's go ahead and grease this gear up really, really well. Pour some grease down in those teeth. This thing cleaned up really easily. The grease that they sprayed in here was it almost like it was water soluble or something. I use a parts washer, ultrasonic, with water-based cleaners in it to do the internal parts. And the external parts on these reels, I use WD-40. I've got a Harbor Freight parts washer, a benchtop parts washer with a couple of gallons, maybe 3 gallons of WD-40 in it. And I hand scrub without any heat these external parts. This will go in, mesh it with the pinion, just like that. Okay. Now, got to drag cow's grease. These things were dry. They weren't scorched, so nobody had fought anything heavy on them. You see, they're not even getting my hands dirty. I can tell you how I know when a drag's been scorched. One, it will be really smooth. That's not good. You want to just go ahead and replace it. Number two, when you go to put the cowls on, it'll turn your fingers black. that's when you know it was scorched. You go with a fiber washer, then you're going to go with a keyed washer. Okay. Another fiber washer. Now, it's important to note on these GS models that this is an early model. This is a very early model. Might have been one of the first years. I can't remember when the changeover was, but they went from these round washers to the eared washers. I think I might have showed you all those. I think I got them here somewhere. They went to that style washer. And so I've got some of these somewhere, but it's packed away, you know, I'm moving and all that. So, but there's nothing wrong with these. So I'm just going to use these. These they're from Penn. I had a set of these from Penn. So we got fiber washer, keyed washer, fiber washer, and then the eared washer. Just slides down in there. And then your last fiber washer. Get some cowls on it. Get it worked in really good. What does cowls do? Well, it makes your drag smoother. It does not give you more drag. It does not give you less drag. It makes your drag smoother. Okay. Now, it's important to note that the thicker of the two keyed washers goes out. The thinner one goes in. So you want this thick guy out here. Okay. It goes on just like that. Then this goes on. I believe it had, the spacer in there. Bearing. We'll fight with that in just a minute. Trust me on that. It will be a fight. Okay. Spring. This will go on in just a minute. Make sure I don't miss anything here. First thing, go around and lubricate the inserts, the brass inserts. We'll put those two posts on last. Lubricate this eccentric. Sometimes if you got this eccentric in where that knob is over here on the opposite side, it's wrong. It's got to go down. This knob has to line up with that groove. This reel is not going to work. Okay. And here we go. Let's see if we can make it work. Well, does that bearing have to go in? But it does. But it has to go in, yeah. A little bit of a taper there. And not wanting to seat. This is where this reel can be a real pain in the you know what. Okay, it's working. Got that. Okay. We're going to go ahead and put the two bottom screws in. Take a smaller Phillips head. This is a number 0 Phillips head. Always match your screwdrivers up with your screw heads. You've heard me say it. You've heard Dennis over Second Chance Tackle, Rick over Young Martin's, TSG. All those guys will tell you, don't use the wrong daggum screwdriver. Okay. Now we got to close that cowls back up. We got to put this back on here. So put your lever about midway up. Don't let it flip any further. will go on here. Trust me. There we go. Now, we can go ahead and put these 2 screws in. The 2 short screws go right here. Wrong. 2 short screws go right here. Gotta get that one back out of there. Back out or shake it out one. There we go. The 2 short screws will go in this hole and this hole. And I'll show you why here in just a second. Okay. The 2 posts, go ahead and put some grease on the ends of them. They slide in from the back side, palm side, and they get the longer screws. Slip out. Run out of fingers. It's spinning on me, I think. No, there it goes. And when you get it tight, it will spin. We'll go back and tighten them up later. We'll get them tighter. Let's put it that way. A little bit of grease. These will corrode badly on you. And you will play hell getting them out. Another long screw. Tighten them up later. Okay. I may have been supposed to put, bearing was supposed to go in there. So guess what we get to do? No. Fix this. It's all good. That bearing goes in there. And this bearing goes out here. Okay. Just never mind me. Then you got the cap. You got rubber. The rubber washer goes down in there. And it didn't hurt to take something, kind of pack it in there. And then the brass. You can give it just a little shot there. We'll go ahead and just a dab of grease on those threads. Don't need to tighten it up just yet. All right. Next is your star drag. And then your wavy washer. You can set this handle up to be power or speed. We're going to set it up for speed. Handle nut on. Put your nut retainer on and your small screw to hold it. Give your handle a little drop of oil. Okay, it's not going to sound good till you get it all together. Okay. Next is this sealed bearing. It's going to go in right there. I do not lubricate these bearings. All right. Let's build the palm plate. It doesn't hurt to put a little bit of grease in here. I've got this thing oiled pretty damn good, so it should never be a problem. Put a little bit more oil in there just on those springs. Okay. There is a small shim. I would call it like a thrust washer. It goes right down in that hole. You see that little brass copper shim? Then your bearing. Okay? Got that. Got that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put the spool in. No, wait a minute. Let's do something else here real quick. I got to put my rod clamps on. Okay, rod clamps. Proper way to install them. If you notice, the rod clamps for pins got a flat cut in them. That flat is to go to the side plates. That's the proper way to install them. See? That way you can slide it in further. It doesn't really matter on this particular reel, but on some of the centers it does. Squitter is important. It's real important to do that. Yeah, let's see. Here, I just use a pin wrench to tighten them up with. Maybe. Why is that pin wrench not wanting to fit that nut? Something else. Okay. Once again, flat to the side plate. You may have to go back and adjust these, but the widest point is usually just right on these reels for that graphite clamp. Now I'm gonna tell you, some rods that have a really thick blank, really thick handle, the pin clamps just don't work well, so you got to deal with that. But I use in the surf, I use breakaways, HDX, and they'll work fine. And I use a trigger for my conventional reels too, so that the rod doesn't slip out of my hand when I'm casting. Okay, so we got that. Let's go ahead and put. Doesn't hurt. Give that a nice little coating. Okay. Just push your weights back in. I'm going to start out with both weights. We'll give this a little bit of grease. Okay. And when you put your side plate on, of course, you want the pin level with where the rod would be. You don't need to oil anything. You want your weights in so it'll clear the brake drum. There we go. And trim ring goes on there. Okay, you've got 2 shorts and 2 longs. The shorts go here and here. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I said it when I was doing it, but I lubricated those bushings, those brass inserts, and the end of those crossbars. Okay. So I've got the top and the bottom tight. Put the crossbar screws in. And then once we get these tight on this side, we can go over to the other side and tighten them up just a little bit. Not a lot of torque, folks. You know, these reels they're hard enough to get apart with a little bit of corrosion anyway. If you really over torque things, you're just asking for trouble. So I'm talking 5 to 10 inch-pounds, maybe at the most. You want to keep your reel all together on a hard fight, but you don't want it so tight you can't get it back apart when you go to service it. You work on these things enough, you'll figure it out. We're going to back off. Oh, it's way too tight. Yeah, goodness. I'm going to have to get a little bit of help from a wrench. I got that way too tight. Don't want to don't grab it with a pair of pliers. Just take your adjustable wrench. There's enough flats there to get a little bit of a grip on. Back this off where you have just a little bit of play in there, okay? Let's lubricate those drags. Hold your spool, tighten your drag down about halfway, and really crank into it. Get all that lubrication moving around. It seats them too, you know. And what you hear there are those centrifugal weights. Hear them? That reel will cast really nicely. We can back off and we can give just a little bit more fun there. Look at that. And there is, gosh, that's smooth, folks. Yeah, got a little bit of bearing noise in it. I mean, gear noise, not bearing noise. A little bit of gear noise. You hear how it's, that's where the lubrication's not around it good. You get a good fish on there and a little bit of pressure against it, or even just pulling your 8 and bait back in. It'll be fine. Real happy with that. It's not, I don't have a lot of money in that reel to go fish in the surf. It gets wet, gets dunked, gets pulled out of the rod holder and goes off to the ocean. I'm not going to cry about it. I don't have a lot of money, and it's a great reel. I don't want to lose it, but there it is. Now I'll load that thing up with some 17-pound Suffix titanium, and it will be all I can handle at a cast 8 and bait. I'll be happy with that. Well, anyway, that was a short and sweet ending to that video, wasn't it? But those are really nice reels. I love the GS series. It's easy to work on. It's durable. Parts are still pretty much available for those reels. Pretty good aftermarket support for the drag and the bearings. You can see I use the Fast Eddies. There's the part number. I don't know if I showed you that. That's just for the spool bearings. So, that part number is, well, it just says, it doesn't have a part number. All right, Fast Eddy. But just look up Penn GS series. It works for the 525 GS, 535 GS, 545 GS, and 555 GS. I think they're all the same bearings. This is John, Vintage Fisherman. Please like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel. Talk to you later.